Okay, this dream I love. This was just, I don't know, it just felt so wonderful when I woke up. Last night, this was 7/23, 2025. And last night while I was sleeping, I dreamt that I was walking in golden footsteps that were somehow already before me, but being made by me at the same time as I walked. Only the footsteps that I was walking into were much bigger than my own. And so I was just like stepping into them and walking, but they were going before me. In the next part of the dream, I knew that I was in heaven exploring. Everything was just incredibly beautiful. I just don't remember what I was seeing clearly there now. At some point, I remember praying for a friend of mine, and I just turned to Jesus and asked him if I could take the golden elevator, and he said to just take it and go straight down to this person's house. It was like I was seeing, and it was so much fun to be in this elevator. It was like, it's like I was seeing some kind of ability that he was going to give believers in the future or something, where we could just take this golden elevator, whatever that means, and just go straight to wherever we needed to go to. It was very quick. And then I was at this friend's house. Well, it was a privilege to use this elevator. I remember that. It was a privilege to use this elevator, and it was just super fun. And I just remember being so delighted and so happy in getting to use it. And then God woke me up at 3:30 a.m. And then I wrote down that at some point I remember linking both arms with this friend. I think maybe we were in heaven. I'm not sure. Somehow we were praying. But both of our arms, like both sets of our arms, were like solid gold. They were just pure gold arms. I don't know what that means exactly. And most of that night, I just remember being in them. It was just this incredible peace all around me. It was just delicious. It was so delightful. And then the next thing that I remember in that dream was that I was seeing writing all over myself. And it was golden. It was like, the writing was like made out of light. So it was like gold light, but it was writing, and it was all over me. It wasn't like a tattoo on my arm or my leg or something like that. It was like all over me, like if I was a newspaper or something, like that much, like script writing. And the language, I did not recognize the language at all. It had to have been like some kind of a heavenly language. I do remember seeing like some of the characters in it, but it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was very beautiful. It was very, like this very elegant script, but it did not look like any kind of a human language that I recognized. Bear with me a second. Okay. Yeah, I remember thinking that I was very definitely marked in this language. I just can't remember what it said. The last thing I remember upon waking up was the giant hand of God stretching towards me. It was like God's giant hand was just like, boom, like right there. And it was like God's hand had 3 different layers of gold to it. The center part of it was this deep, deep, deep gold. And then like the fingers of his hand and the thumb and like this part of his hand was much lighter. It was still gold, like bright, bright gold. But so it was much lighter. And like this part around his hand was much lighter, but this part was deep, deep, deep gold. And then in the center of his hand, like where the creases of our hands are, it was like I was, I was seeing the center of his hand, and it was like this super brilliant light was breaking forth out of the palm of his hand. It was so bright, it reminded me of lightning. And I had this very clear understanding that it was this part of his hand. It was like this lightning light that was coming out of his hand that he had been writing on me with. It was just breaking forth out of his hand. It was beautiful. It was so brilliant. And I had this understanding that, yeah, this was the part of his hand that he'd been writing on me with. And then later on, a little bit, I think it was later on in that day, or maybe it was like as I was waking up, I don't remember now. I just remember seeing like the huge hand of God just like close around me. And like around my whole being. It was like I was just it was like an action of safety, like just directly around me. But it was also like he was making a fist. And I still need to look this up because my sense was that it was like, yes, this was protection around me, but also like he was going to use his fist as a weapon. Um, I still need to look all that up, but that was my sense. And then later on, my daughter had come into my room that day because I was really thinking through, like, Lord, what is this? What specifically is this writing that I'm seeing all over me? And she was sharing with me some of the things that the Lord had been telling her. And it ended up in Revelation 3:12. And I just started crying as I was reading it, because it was like such clear confirmation to me that this was what he had been writing on me. And I was just blown away. Revelation 3:12 says, "Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name." And it was just so beautiful and so overwhelming. It was such a clear indication to me of his love for me, and how sealed I am in him, how much his seal really is upon me. Anyway, so that was that dream. I just think it's so beautiful, and I hope I just hope it's great confirmation for a lot of you guys out there, just how much he loves us and how protected we really are, and how much he really is, like, he really has written on us, like he's like all over us. And yeah, Jesus, just help us overcome. Okay, thanks guys.